Okay, so that's there. I'll reshare that. Actually, I don't need to. Circles and circles. Live of the next season of Otaku no Video, and anime and all that stuff. Um, propose ideas for the next season. All right, so that's been shared. Okay, I guess I need to do my whole thing. Profile. Need to change that. Link address. Make sure it actually works. Yes. Should probably go there to see if anyone's there yet. Pause. Let's see here. Show less. View all comments. I can go to a separate. Yeah. So there's the comments page. So we'll see if anyone shows up for this. I have no viewers anyway, which is not too surprising. But I will go ahead and just sit here for a little bit. Maybe I'll head downstairs in a bit to play around down there. I do need to do eggs. Maybe I'll do that, and then we'll see what happens. Don't know if anyone can like do a thing on that. Can anyone do a sign up for alerts? I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, so I'm here live, and hello viewer. So I'm just getting ready to do the rest of some stuff around the house while I talk to folks here about the next season of Otaku no Video. And that didn't last long, which is fine. So I need more lighting up here for one. I need to. That's all okay. I need to do Mystery Science actually, or even some Blake 7 or some anime. Who knows? Got some anime to watch myself. That looks okay. So feel free to leave comments in the bottom, and I will keep an eye on that, see if anyone's here. There's that. That's fine, that's fine. I can close that. I don't need to keep all these things open. That's fine. That doesn't need to be open. And even that does not need to be open. So I would like to see if that video is actually live or not. Yeah, good, it's live. Do I post a comment? Yeah, nobody pays attention to videos unless you have a comment in there. So let me try that.
Hello, everyone.
Sorry. So we'll do that, and we'll go over here and say right now at unlisted. What? Why would it be unlisted? I want it to be listed. Why is ONV Rising listed as unlisted, but it's... What? What? Let's see here. Unlisted. Public. There we go. That's better. Silly, silly, silly. Hey, Claim. Glad to see you. I understood about sleep. That's the way things are. You know, we all need that. So totally got it. And I seem to have an international audience, which is cool, but it means that folks can't stay around all the time. But Claim, if you have any questions, please ask them via the comments, and I'll be happy to at least answer them, and we can get back. I can get back to you at some point. But hey, Lachlan. Hey, Dark Devil. Good to see you all there. So like I said, I'm just going to stay online for some length of time. Do some Q&A. I might even show some anime. We'll see how I'm feeling there. But in the meantime, let me head downstairs. There's actually a good chance for me to check out some potential technological hurdles. I have a new laptop, and that means it's all new software and new settings and so forth. So I'm having to configure all that and make sure it works as expected. And I've had an unfortunate surprise already in terms of all that setup. So I have to figure out how all that's going to work. But let's see here. I was having a lot of fun on July 4th, and yesterday actually doing some cooking. So I had a bunch of dishes to do. And no, I'm not going to just do dishes here, but I thought this would be a good opportunity to clean it up a little bit. There. Ah! So, actually, let me put a towel on here because I do not want this to fall off and break. There we go. So yeah, I've organized Season 3 around a lot of the feedback I got from Season 2, especially from you guys, about what you guys want to see. And, you know, folks want more reviews and more analysis, so that's what I'm giving you. Lots more of that stuff. That is the plan. And by the way, how is video and audio here? Are there any improvements at all? It's on a faster laptop, but I don't know if that's making any difference. Can I review Buso Renkin? I have not seen Buso Renkin. From a snarky perspective, I certainly could. Buso Renkin, let me just check it out. See, it's a, well, it's shonen, but it is Watsuki. So that does have my attention. 26 episodes, so that's doable. Tell you what I'll do. I will keep an eye. I'll see if I can't grab a copy of Buso Renkin or find it streaming somewhere, and I'll give it a try. So if I can, you know, the fact that Watsuki wrote it gets my attention. So let me just add that to the list of kind of sort of a question mark. It's a fair amount of anime to watch, you know, and write and do the review in that time. But yeah, that's certainly on the list. Hey, Night Sabers, good to see you. Thoughts on Akagama got kill? I'm not familiar with that. Is that Kill a Kill? Akagama got kill. I have not seen this. It's from the current season. Yeah, I've not checked out Akagame Ga Kill yet. What are your thoughts on it? What would attract me to Akagame Ga Kill? Okay, videos, normal. Yeah, and this is all just normal streaming stuff. So there's not. Unfortunately, I don't have the dedicated hardware for any of that stuff yet. So let me grab. Let me see here. Again, I'm just going to use this chance to like empty the dishwasher and fill it up again while watching you guys talk. I'm tempted to make something too while I'm at it. But I don't know. I just made some, you can't quite see it, some hard-boiled eggs for the week. That's my breakfast every morning. So I like to do that on Sunday evening, so they're all ready to go for the week. All those nice clangy pots and pans. Yeah, Starbucks Wi-Fi does suck. That's very true. Am I gonna watch anime this season? That's a good question. I'm not sure. I'm not against it, but I just haven't. Like I've checked out some of the anime from previous seasons, and I haven't been able to catch up. So I need to set up a schedule to actually look at stuff. But I haven't had a chance to look at this season's anime even. I watched some of Y-Cross from last season. That definitely caught my eye. Infected Y-Cross. And then there were one or two others. I checked out Kill la Kill, but it just wasn't my thing. I have read and watched bits and pieces of Berserk, but it's definitely not my thing. It's definitely too grimdark for my tastes. You know, kind of, and by that I mean kind of that adolescent, you know, grr, arg, things are dark and terrible, and you know. I have a friend who was really into it. Well, not really into it, but he was definitely kind of a fan, and I just couldn't get it. Bit too much kind of adolescent power fantasy. From what I could see, you know, again, can't say, but a bit too shonen for my tastes. Let's see here. No Game No Life, Mushishi, Knights of Sidonia, One Week Friends. I do need to see Knights of Sidonia. Very much so. What do I do for a living? I work for Amazon, and that's unfortunately all I can say. Legend of Korra. Yeah, I mean, is it anime? Is it not anime? You know, it depends on how you define it. But I have not. So Korra is one of those shows that I kind of want to wait until it ends. You know, and not because of spoilers, but because I think that's one of those shows that just benefits from seeing in large swaths. Avatar was that way, where it's just kind of built for that. It's not quite ready yet. That's stuck. Nah. So I think Korra, I'm going to wait until the show's over to actually watch it. Buy the DVDs. What is a good gateway anime into Gundam? That's a very good question. It kind of depends on your tastes. So one of the classic ones is the 8 MS Team, 08 MS Team. Because it's an OVA, it's short. It's only, I think, 10 episodes. And it contains all the necessary elements of a Gundam series, while also it has an adult protagonist. You don't get a lot of the angst of some of the Gundam series. If you're into the more actiony stories, then you'd probably want to go with something like Gundam Seed, for example. And Gundam Seed has its advantages because it's more of a it's built a bit more like a shonen series like Naruto or Bleach, where there's a lot of characters interacting, lots of back and forth between different sides going on. If you're interested in kind of a more adult-oriented take on it, and I don't mean that obviously in terms of like sex, then you probably want to go with like Gundam 00, which is a more serious and complicated, complex approach to Gundam. So those are all sort of decent starting points. But yeah, I mean, 8th MS Team is probably the most reasonable starting point, but it depends. Good question. Berserk reflects horror from a masculine point of view. Interesting. Fair enough.
yeah, I want to wait until the entire Korra series is done until I watch the show. Partly because, and this is my experience with Avatar, is that even the individual arcs, I got to the end of an arc and I really wanted to see what happened, after that. Those were very much, sort of big cliffhanger kind of ends. So, to me, I'm going to enjoy it more if I watch it all in one fell swoop. Oh, cool. And I have patience. I've been doing this a long time. So, and I see someone say they were new this season. That's cool. Let's see here. Hey, Lachlan, new this season. Cool. Welcome. Welcome. We do a lot of talk about a lot of interesting stuff. I don't have top 10 Gundam series. I like them all in different ways, and that's not me being cutesy. I really do. There's not a single Gundam series that there's only one Gundam series that I disliked. All the rest of them I really enjoyed and I would readily rewatch. So they're all different. So you try Gundam Wing and couldn't get into it. Okay, so, and that's why. I mean, Gundam Wing I love beyond all reason, and just because, that style appealed to me. So different Gundams appeal to people for different reasons. So let me ask this. What about Gundam Wing didn't you like? And I can kind of home us in on the elements to kind of avoid in other Gundam series. Because they're all pretty different. A lot of them are different. Finished a second gig in one batch. Nice. Yeah, that's a nice one. Second, Ghost in the Shell is probably less requiring of that sort of batch viewing in terms of like an entire series, but it definitely benefits from seeing a lot of it at once, especially near the end of those shows. I cannot imagine waiting, a week between each for the end of like the first season of Ghost in the Shell. Oh. And Second Gig has a wonderful thing at the end for fans of the manga. There's a little reference there at the end to the manga. Yeah, Gundam's an odd duck. I mean, there's something for everyone, but it's different things appeal to different people. You can go all the way back to original Gundam, but that's more of a historical artifact, So it's weird. Let's see here. Why you need to sleep right now? Yeah, I understand that. I mean, and Second Gig has a lot of stuff to ingest. I mean, there's a lot going on there. What do I think of fan service? It exists. I'm very much used to it. And also be aware that, like, when I first got into anime as a serious fan, my first series was Tenchi Muyo. That was the one that really turned me into a serious anime fan. So, that's fan service galore. But it's, I want to say it's minimal fan service, and the fan service was there to show off character in some way. If a character revealed his or her clothing, it was always to reveal what she felt as a result of that. It was always a plot point in some way. It was usually a plot point in some way. So they found ways of making that significant. But yeah, so I I'm used to fan service. But I think when it's just there pointlessly, I have a problem with that. Now, on the other hand, for example, panty shots have gotten some attention recently, which is kind of why are they there? And that's something that I am willing to chalk up to kind of the vagaries of the society. I'm not as creeped out by panty shots. Partly because, again, it's not really revealing anything, just underwear. So that, again, it's not a big deal. But, again, it kind of depends on the fan service. I think it can get to the point where the fan service is, I mean, creepy is a hard to use word. That kind of doesn't, or it's an inexact word. Segon no Quasar, or Quasar of the Stigmata, that got to a point where it just felt like it was pandering. It felt like it was fan service for the sake of getting viewers' attention. And I didn't like that at all. I thought that was inappropriate. I don't know. I'm failing to find the right word. It felt kind of pornographic, titillating, using sex just to get eyeballs as opposed to usefulness. Hey, long live rock and roll. Yes, I watched Seed and Seed Destiny. I have watched bits and pieces of the HD remaster. Like not all the way through, which is enough to get a feel for the differences between the two. And it's definitely a beautiful remaster. Do I watch any other anime reviewers? Sadly, no. For Otaku, I watch his stuff. But other than that, not really. Most of the other reviewers are very high level. They're very subjective and personal. And there's just I don't get much out of their reviews. Nothing against them, but there's just not much meat to those reviews. So it just doesn't interest me much. Monster. Yep, I need to read Monster at some point. Okay, so you didn't like the cast of Gundam Wing. All right. So in that case, I would definitely go with either 8th MS Team, or you could try going a very different direction with G Gundam. But that's a very over-the-top, kind of silly show. It's meant to be one of those big super robot shows where everyone's it's a lot of fun, but it's a little more supercharged, if you will. You could go that direction. I think what else would be a good starting point. You could also try Gundam 0080: The War in the Pocket, which is a very serious, dramatic storyline set within the Gundam universe during its main conflict, focusing on a young boy. And it's a very different kind of Gundam series than a lot of them, and it's much more grown up in the way it presents kind of what war is and what war does. So I'd say 8th MS Team or 0080. Thoughts on Yu Yu Hakusho? I've seen a few episodes and it was fun and interesting. I read some of the manga, but it's a shonen title. I'm too old for shonen, kind of. Seri no Moribito. I don't think I've seen it. Let me just Google it here real quick. Images. So I have not seen that. I have heard good things, though. I've definitely heard that it's an interesting thing. Yeah, Kiss Sis is a great example of that, where obviously they're trading on the whole incest thing, and trying to suggest that, well, kind of not, but kind of yes, and it's just like, okay, that's no. All right, almost done here. And then increasingly, I am thinking I may show some anime. There's just I have so much anime to watch. Might as well stream it so you guys can see some of it. Although I can't do that on YouTube anymore, can I? That's right. Oh well. I have to do a private stream. Oh well. We'll figure out something. That will just that goes there. This gets emptied out. This is the water from the hard-boiled eggs. There we go. And I'll start the laundry here in a second. Right, exactly, Lachlan. Fan service is a crutch, and fan service can be used. Fan service, in my view, is a spice. It's something there to add a little bit of sexy fun to a show. Um, when it crosses the line into showing innocent girls constantly being half exposed to their embarrassment, I get creeped out. You know. It shouldn't be an alternative to plot. There should be plot, and then fan service is the the added tweak, the added spice. This will do. Almost. In fact, I think this is the last of this. Yeah. This detergent is done. And then, didn't I get more? What's going on here? What is this? Is that? Yeah, good. I know what I'm doing. Imagine that. Okay. Let's see here. It is the almost washing dishes show. There. What are my thoughts on Ghibli films as a whole, and do I have any problems with otaku culture? There's a big question. Two big questions, actually. Thoughts on Ghibli as a whole is too big of a question to answer. I mean, there are all sorts of different ways in which to approach that. Different directors, different movies, different projects. Their commercial work. So I can't think of a meaningful answer to that wouldn't go on for an hour. Otaku culture. I don't think there's much culture in otaku culture. I guess the main worry I have about otaku culture is that it's so that the standard is that you become an otaku when you're a teenager, you're a fan for a couple of years, and then you drop out. There are very few older anime fans. And I don't just mean older in terms of age, I mean in terms of people don't last long in this. And I think that's definitely hurt the industry and the culture to a great extent. People don't have a lot of experience with anime, and so you get the same questions over and over and over again. And it's not because people are stupid, it's because it's always a new person asking the question. So that's the biggest problem I see, is that high turnover rate in fans. And it's worrisome in a lot of ways, and it's also worrisome in that a lot of them are younger, and so they tend to be young enough they don't have a lot of money, and so there's very little support of the industry as a whole. Folks aren't buying a lot of anime stuff, and that just hurts the industry because there's not enough money to go around, and so you get studios closing down and low wages for the actual people making this stuff. I think that's probably the two biggest problems with otaku culture, at least, and I'm talking in America. I'm talking in general, America, Canada, North America, I guess, North American culture, Mexico too. Although I'm not at all familiar with Mexican otaku culture, but yeah, certainly in America that seems to be the big issue, and to a lesser extent in like the UK and Europe. So that's a problem. In Japan, I think the biggest problem with otaku culture is that it's so small. That there are such a small number of otaku in Japan, and the industry is dependent on them buying very expensive box sets. And as long as they can do that, that's great. But I can see that being a weakness in the industry, and it certainly is. Let's see here. What are the changes in the Season 3 reviews? So the reviews will retain the same basic structure. They'll still be spoiler-free. And I'm going to focus on sort of a spread of reviews from different shows. I'm doing fewer reviews this year, for this season, than past season. Mainly because, again, folks have asked for more analysis stuff. So I'll be doing reviews on some classics, some recent stuff. I mentioned Watamote, my Treehouse, Little Witch Academia, as well as stuff like Space Runaway Ideon,
which was very influential for Evangelion, and some of the Full Metal Panic series to get some idea of that stuff. But again, same basic structure, same basic format. News on the new Ghost in the Shell anime. I don't know much about it. No. I know a few episodes have come out. I haven't personally watched it yet. Again, partly because I kind of like to wait till it's over, but also because I've got a lot of shows in the queue, so I feel like I shouldn't start that again. Hey, Sebastian. Good to see you. War Fanatic, watch your language, please, especially about a show that the host happens to adore beyond all reason. That's an interesting point, Lachlan. That you think accessibility is a big issue. In what sense? And I'm not challenging you. I'm just I like more. What do you mean by that? Accessibility. My thoughts on Bandai leaving America. Well, I talked about that before. I mean, I think they made the decision that made sense for them economically. People were not buying Bandai DVDs in America. And Haruhi Suzumiya was the nail in that coffin, where that was a hugely successful series, and they produced nice box sets and reasonable, expensive box sets and reasonable box sets for kind of those two tiers of fans, and it sold quite mediocrely, just poor sales for that series. I mean, I don't think it was bargain basement, but I think it did very poorly considering how popular it was. And so that indicated folks were just watching it online and not buying. So I can see why Bandai got out of the market. It isn't making the money. I do not watch Game of Thrones. No. I read some of the books and that they just creep me out. So no. I have trigger warnings around children in certain kinds of danger, so that stuff and certain kinds of things being done to children just no, I will not watch, read, consume that. So well, Clancy, I would disagree that anime is used mostly for artistic purposes. I think anime is used mostly for economic purposes, even in Japan. That's the way it's been for decades. Going back to Astro Boy, it's mostly a way of selling manga, light novels, video games, and merchandise. It's why it's so combinatorial. There's very little desire to be original in anime. Mainly because it's mostly an adaptation, but it's kind of an ad. Anime is kind of an ad. Now, obviously, the makers are creatives; they are artists. They want to make a solid creative work, but I think it's money is the driving factor for why an anime gets made in the first place. This isn't a charity, unfortunately, and it isn't a anime is a business. It's very much commercial art, if you will. Interesting there about Moribito versus 12 Kingdoms. And 12 Kingdoms got a lot of attention. I mean, that was a big hit at the time, especially back in Japan, I know. So. Let's see here. And I'm not suggesting that it's a good thing either, Claim. I don't think it's a good or a bad thing, though. I think it just is a thing. It's a money-based industry, and that's a fact that just needs to be factored into the equations. Well, see, here's I think I see where you're coming from, Lachlan. So you're saying that it's hard to keep up with the anime as you get older because of time commitments. Here's the thing: folks are watching Game of Thrones, and they're watching lots of other TV. I mean, TV viewing is certainly up. So why are anime fans not watching anime anymore, but they still seem to be watching all this other content? That's the weird thing to me. And you don't need to keep up with anime either. I mean, there's so much anime out there to watch, far beyond the stuff that's just airing currently in Japan or airing currently over here. My thoughts on American otaku versus Japanese otaku. I don't see how I can answer that question. I mean, Japanese otaku and American otaku exist. They're different in different ways. Are you asking me to critique them? To talk about how they're different? Not sure. There are, I wouldn't say there are a lot of female pacifists in Gundam shows, but there are several. There are a few. And I think that's because, partly because of gender roles in Japan, and also just because the men are usually the officers fighting. I mean, you certainly see plenty of non-female pacifists in Gundam as well. I'm sorry, plenty of non-pacifist females in Gundam as well. So it's certainly a trend. So here's the thing, Claim, and I hear where you're coming from. The issue is that anime costs about, I don't know what the numbers are, about $100,000 an episode to make an anime series. At those costs, I don't see how money can't be the primary question in whether a show gets made. And that's kind of what I'm asking. What is a better metric that still allows the shows to be made? That's the question, I think. Well, that's one of the questions. Hey, Eric. Yeah, for what it's worth, Sebastian, I've watched very little. I watched first episodes of a few things. I just haven't gotten through more. A lot of questions here. Are there any anime series that shook the foundation of its mythos years, decades after its first episode, such as Gundam's? Shook the foundation of its own mythos? That's an interesting question. There are very few shows, and there are very few franchises that kind of lasted for any length of time, and that have a consistent storyline. You have things like Ranma, or even like El Hazard or Sailor Moon, but they're not really, they'll tell a story over the course of a season, but it's not like that. Even Dragon Ball Z was just kind of more antagonists all the time. So it didn't really have a mythos in that sense. Macross, certainly. The first Macross series. Although not so much the ending, but just the whole... in fact, for there is more the movie. But in general, that first Macross series was definitely very foundational for the story. I don't know. I can't think of, again, many other long-running franchises in anime that had that kind of a storyline. That's a good question. I don't think there are many. What does Funimation do to still be around as an anime company? A lot of it, as I understand, is that they have the relationships with the Japanese companies, and they have dramatically diversified. Funimation is owned by a parent company that gives them enough money and enough leverage, enough leeway. They license a lot of different shows, and some of them are hits and some of them are not. In a healthy industry, a licensor can license a handful of different series. One may be successful, one may not, and that's fine. But you diversify somewhat. Unfortunately, in this industry, you have to make a lot of bets to finally get a Full Metal Alchemist or Dragon Ball Z, and it's really hard to say. But Funimation has enough hands and enough pies that they can license so much stuff that the large number of shows that just do not sell are floated by those super successes of Dragon Ball Z and the others. And also Funimation, I think Dragon Ball Z was a big one. I think there's a lot of shows that they licensed purely because of how much money they made off Dragon Ball Z, especially over the years. Okay, Claim. Good night. Thanks for engaging. I look forward to talking about that more. So Leo, I mentioned this a little earlier. I'm kind of waiting until Legend of Korra is over to watch it. I started watching Avatar not long after it first came out, and I got to the end of season 1. It was still ongoing, and I was like, I really, this is enough of an ongoing story that I want to wait to see all of it at once. So with Korra, same thing. I kind of want to see the entire show all at once. Yes, I've heard about the original Gundam remake. The interesting thing about that is that it's not exactly a remake of original Gundam. Apparently, it is a remake of it is a make, if you will, of the scenes in original Gundam that Yasuhiko Yasuhiko wrote into the manga, which he had ideas for, and various staff members had idea for during the run of the TV series, but they never actually animated. There's various things that never actually got to air for lots of reasons. Not just because of time constraints or whatever, just folks decided, we just won't do that. In other words, I'm not saying they were good or bad. They just didn't make it there. And he's like, yeah, no, I'm going to put those back in. So it's a remake of a lot of that material, telling some of those backstories. Like the first episode is all about Char's backstory and all that stuff, which is cool because apparently we get to see the Battle of Loom in some detail for the first time ever. For those wondering, that was the first battle in the Gundam Universal Century timeline to feature mobile suits, giant robots, in a large-scale engagement. It was the first time mobile suits were actually used, and they just wipe out a fleet, basically. So it's a seminal moment that we finally get to see for the first time. So I'm looking forward to that a lot. If anime companies went to digital download and streaming only, I think they'd be less successful. Because from everything I've heard, streaming makes no money. There's, the ads and all that stuff on streaming and the subscriptions on that. Basically, the companies are moving to that simply because they're losing so much money from piracy and other reasons, and folks just not buying. That the idea is we will at least give them the ability to watch it legally. And then we can get a little bit of revenue through there, but it doesn't. Apparently, it's so minuscule that it's not worth talking about. Basically, it's almost like an advertising budget versus real revenue. So I don't think streaming is an answer, at least at this point. Part of it is from what I've seen, I think a lot of people just don't watch the official streams. The cat's kind of out of the bag on that one, and folks are watching the fan subs instead of the legal streams. They just don't know the legal streams exist. I have heard about the Gundam Seed movie, yes. Unfortunately, I don't think it's ever going to happen. I wish it would, but I think it's been so long that I think it's been backburnered. But the other thing, well, actually, let me go back on that. Seed remains one of the most popular. Seed remains the most popular alternate universe Gundam series, and you can see that in model kit sales. Seed is just still a huge thing. So I can see them basically saying, look, we want to do Gundam Seed. The Gundam Seed movie, but so for those who don't know, Seed was basically written by the wife of the director of Gundam Seed, and she fell seriously ill, like cancer, and that basically put the kibosh on the plans for the movie. And so I think Sunrise and Bandai have been holding back on that, hoping that can be rearranged to happen. And I know she's like out of the hospital. I think she's recovered to a great extent from that. And so I think the idea is they can wait as long as they want for that to come back. They can basically wait until that's ready, and there will be that sort of that core of fans ready there and waiting for it, and it'll be a nice big surprise for them. Gundam animation that fills the gap between Zeta and Char's counterattack. That's called Double Zeta. That is exactly what Double Zeta is. Do you think the anime is popular because of the way it is advertised, for example, Code Geass or Gurren Lagann? Could you please rephrase that, Dark Devil? I'm not understanding your question. Is it wrong to illegally download an anime if there's no way to get it in your country? I'll put it this way. I do it all the time. Gotta say it. I need to finish reading this, actually. So much anime! I've actually been reading the book about Amazon, the Everything Store, that book that came out recently about Amazon. Very interesting book. You know, it's not an advertisement, you know, but it just, I happened to get a copy of it, and it's very interesting. But then I have a reason to be interested. Yeah, and fan subs exist for a reason. I totally get that. And as I think I've said before, my issue with fan subs is not that fan subs exist. My issue with fan subs is that the behavior appears to be that people are watching fan subs and then not spending any money on the industry. 1 second. Alarm. Sorry, that was my phone reminding me of something. You know, my problem is with people who, because they can get that content for free, they then never put any money into the industry in any form, and that's the issue. Is when folks don't do that, and yet, as I mentioned before, you know, they have a wall of video games. You can afford those, but you can't afford DVDs. Odd. I have not watched Legend of the Galactic Heroes, but I think I downloaded it at some point. Whoops. To mention that. Although I don't think... Oh, no, I think that one didn't survive that. But no, I haven't seen it yet, but I would definitely like to. I did watch The Wind Rises, yes. Did I not? Do I not have a video on that? I thought... Huh. Why did I not put that in there? That's weird. So there'll be a review of The Wind Rises for Season 3. I don't know why on earth I didn't put that on the list. That's bizarre. Yeah, so I'll definitely be reviewing and analyzing probably The Wind Rises for Season 3. Double Zeta fills in quite a few gaps, but I agree that it does not talk about Char and Amuro specifically, but it fills in quite a few gaps for other characters. I mean, I don't think we need to see. I'll put it this way. I don't know what new we learn about Amuro or Char. I mean, Amuro is pretty much the same at the beginning of Char's counterattack as he is at the end of Zeta. And Char's gone through, well, let's be honest, Char's gone through the same transformation that, was it Remy? His clone in Double Zeta goes through. No, that's clearly Char. So again, I don't know what else we learned. Char's doing what he said he'd do, pretty much. Yes, I've read Blam, sorry, and I have a long discussion of that on otakunovideo.net. So there's a big thing on that. I usually review manga on the website, just because folks seem to like to read manga reviews. So yeah, I was very impressed with Blam. It's one of my favorite comic sort of things. Very interesting. very. I mean, it's a. As I mentioned to somebody else, the cool thing about Blam, excuse me, Peanuts, is that rarely do you find a work where the author very carefully doles out details about what's going on, and is very clearly doing that in a way so that you don't get, all the backstory explained to you, but you get enough information to fill it in, and it's done with such precision. Obviously there are lots of shows where they don't explain all the backstory, or lots of manga rather, but this is done very carefully and very in a way that's just fun, in a way that kept me going, instead of keeping me frustrated that things are being withheld from me. No, folks aren't going to just stand out and saying, "Well, as you know, George, the reason why we're walking through all this," it's done in a way I thought was very effective. So scrolling back down, let's see here. Do you think most of the original anime shows or manga-based shows are popular because of the way they are advertised? Again, Dark Devil, not understanding your question. Are they popular because of the way they're advertised? Is that what you're asking? I don't believe in better, Coolio, so I don't have an answer on that one. What do I think of The Wind Rises? I was very impressed. I felt that Hayao Miyazaki's movies have been less less complex and less coherent in the past few years. So starting really with Howls, I felt that his movies started getting long and just less coherent, just more rambling than his previous films. Miyazaki is usually best when he has this strong through line of action, this strong story that he's following. Even if it's Totoro and it's people moving into a house and adapting to that life, there's this very clear beat of things that are happening to the characters. And you don't see that in Howl, you don't see it in Ponyo. Excuse me, I'm going to have to throw up this peanut or something. But The Wind Rises, I think, reverses that. The Wind Rises is still a more slow film, but it has a much stronger story. And I do wish that it was edited down a great extent. I want every shot to be there, but a lot of shots to be just shortened, because it feels kind of fat in that way. But I really liked the sort of dueling storylines. I think they were both important, and they both worked very well as kind of two sides of this character's life. I do think that the stuff with the German guy was a bit forced. It was just kind of thrown into the middle of the film, and you get this sort of didactic politicking discussion back and forth that just, it was clearly there to say, okay, to talk about the politics of the era and to sort of clear that air, but it just that felt a little obvious to me, if you will. My thoughts on the character of L from Death Note. I watched the first episode of Death Note and read the first bit of the manga, and I was not interested. it was pretty silly to me. Just kind of over the top and kind of like what I was talking about with kind of like Berserk, you know. Ooh, a guy can kill people. Ooh, that's gonna be scary. I don't know. It just it again it felt very shonen. It felt like it was taking kind of a how to put it. It had a neat idea, which it then dragged out for a very long time. So for the English dub over the original dub, fair enough. I think I only saw the Japanese dub because that was the only one in theaters. No, it was the English dub. I watched the English dub, I think. So I haven't compared it, but I'd be curious to do that. I would like to do that at some point. That's interesting. Wouldn't surprise me. Um, yeah, it was definitely the English dub. But yeah, I mean, and there's certainly plenty of bad Japanese dubs. Not that that's a bad dub. I'm just saying that. Well, um, well, the thing is, like, Cowboy Bebop didn't fail. Um, Cowboy Bebop was a huge success in America, and I mean, it was a very mild success in Japan. I mean, success is kind of a hard thing, but I mean, it's sold. It had middling sales, I would say, in Japan. Um, but no, I don't think it was because of advertising. Um, I think original works exist because companies want to either stretch their wings, or they have an idea for something they think is going to be a big success, a big financial success, something they think that folks will grab onto. Bebop, stuff like that. Infinite Rebias was a. I'd love to know why they made Rebias, but it definitely feels more like an art project, if you will. So it's there are lots of reasons for these different attempts at stuff, but I don't think it's because of how it's advertised. Personally, interesting question though. Again, it doesn't seem like an enormous gap to me to Running Man. Favorite English and Japanese voice actors? I don't have favorites. It's all about how well they fit their roles. I have seen. Let's see here. Um, I saw the first episode of Mezzoforte and the first two episodes of Wizard Barristers. Mezzoforte just felt too brain dead action adventure for my tastes. And Wizard Barristers was interesting, but I'm now kind of traumatized by that's Umetsu, right? Kazuo Umetsu. Yeah. I'm so kind of traumatized by the stuff he's done in Mezzo, as well as Kite, that I'm kind of expecting the graphic rape scene whenever I watch Wizard Barristers. And I know they don't do that, but it really affected my ability to watch the show in a weird way. So I'd like to go back and finish it, but it creeped me out. And again, having sort of young girl character, main character, is just. Be in Los Angeles from August 10th to August 20th. Will there be any anime or game events there? I don't know. I would go to. I know there's a big anime conventions. I think it's animecons.com. Yeah. So if you go to animecons.com, they have a whole big list of anime conventions. So I would go there. Otherwise, I don't know. Let's see here. Well, see, that's one of the differences between, I think, American and Japanese fans too, is that the hugely successful series in Japan tend to be the ones that are adaptations. You know, original works do not get the kind of attention they get over here in America. So I think that's also a cultural thing. Do I like Attack on Titan? No. Well, I mean, that's a little unfair. Have I watched Attack on Titan? No. Will I watch Attack on Titan? No. Everything anyone has ever told me about Attack on Titan convinces me not to watch the show. Wait, what am I doing? These make me cough. Ah. Cinnamon sugar peanuts. Yum, yum, yum. The Brent has spoken, yes. Again, if you like Attack on Titan, that's awesome. Go for it. But, Yeah, animecons.com is a very helpful resource to see what's coming up. Just so you guys know, I will be at Otakon. I will be doing a couple of panels there. A brief history of anime and amazingly obscure anime. So that is on the docket. I was very impressed. They got back to me very quickly on that. So if you're going to be at Otakon, I will be there. Coolio, for a very long time, my favorite anime series of all time was Serial Experiments Lain. I have no problem with Dark. I do not follow the Fate series, no. I've seen bits and pieces. Again, nothing against it. I haven't really gotten into it yet. It does intrigue me, though, quite a bit. I kind of like to play the original visual novel, though. I've not watched Sword Art Online because, again, it came across to me like a very traditional shonen action series. Oh yeah, Watermelon Girl's probably well, Watermelon Girl and the Pink-Haired Girl. Those are the two most popular ones that get the most attention. But yeah, I've shifted a few things around a little bit. There's some things, especially lower down. I think I have some new stuff. You may not have seen The Doctor. Don't know when he came in. And a few other pieces here and there. While getting some more at the various conventions. I have not heard of Gundam Reconquista off the top of my head. Reconquista in G. Oh, the new Tomino series. Yeah, I've seen the trailer. Yeah, I am aware of that. The one that looks almost exactly like Overman King Gainer, and much the same staff, so that would explain it. Anna Jam, Fresno, California. I don't think I've heard of Anna Jam, but I think that the Fresno Convention Center is pretty big, so that should be a significant event worth trying out. Yeah, Tomino is definitely a dark horse, so I have no idea what to expect from that series. It's also interesting because I think it's 13 episodes, isn't it? I think I saw that. It's going to be relatively short. No, I'm sorry, 25 episodes. Still, that's extremely short by Tomino standards. So I'm curious to see what he does with that. Yeah, that kind of over the top, again, Berserk style thing is just again, it strikes me as just kind of adolescent. Oh, we're in pain. We're in so much pain. Life is painful. Yes, it is. That's nice. I have not watched Hunter x Hunter because again, it's shonen. Well, no, I watched the first episode and I was like, yeah, it's basically Dragon Ball. Yeah. I had not heard that Bandai was teasing a sequel to Gundam Build Fighters. It wouldn't surprise me, given how it ended. I mean, somebody is there's a next gunplay battle stand by poster. They're talking about something coming. Huh. I did watch all of Build Fighters. I loved that all to death. So I'd be happy to see a new Gundam Build Fighters. I wonder if they're following kind of the 00 model, where you get, your first season and then your second season, basically. I wonder if that's how it was pitched. So he got his 25 episodes in, and now that was successful, apparently. That's cool. Do you guys know how well Gundam Build Fighters did? I haven't really heard one way or the other if that was a huge success or what. I know it got the general sort of reaction most Gundam gets in America.
Hello, everyone.
Whoops. Oh, I'm sorry.
Right.
Sorry.
I am still alive. And
what's going on?
Planning.
Sorry. Hit the wrong tab. Just noticing some comments on some of my videos I wanted to sort of clear off. Will I do a review of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? Somebody asked. Nope, too long. Cool. Okay, A. Evangelion is not Lane-esque in its philosophical or psychological elements. I mean, not to be pedantic, but no. I don't think Evangelion is a question in terms of like. I'll put it this way: I was very impressed with Evangelion the first 5 episodes or so, and I remain to this day completely blown away by the ending of the TV series. That is some of the most impressive animation work I've ever seen done. In terms of animation as animation, in terms of using the medium. My main frustration with Evangelion is the lack of actual character development over the course of the series. The fact that the characters don't really grow significantly over the course of the series. Now, granted, I have not watched, I've not sat down and watched like the last half of the show, but I've seen a lot of it in clips and bits and pieces. I was watching it when it came out, and then I stopped, and I've seen a lot of elements of it. So I'm speaking to a great extent from ignorance, but the fact that I picked it back up in episode like 23, and Shinji was acting the same way, and all the characters were acting the same way. I was like, yeah, that's not a good thing. But yeah, it's not that I like or dislike Evangelion. Let's see here. Yeah, I doubt they'll use more G Savior in the second season. As funny as that would be. I saw I saw like the last half hour of Gunbuster. Unfortunately, I was at I think Otaku or Anime Expo or something, and I was going to go see it, and I got my times wrong, so I saw the last half, and I loved what I saw. But it's definitely one of the things. I think I actually bought like the Blu-ray of it, so that's definitely high on the list. Yes, Gunbuster is a very, very big thing, and yeah, the time dilation thing is I think is a very important sort of plot element. It's a very it's important to see a show do that with thought. But yeah, I will definitely see Gunbuster at some point. I'm not sure if I've seen the full trailer for the live action movie. I know I've seen a trailer for it. Well, they're making another live action Gundam movie. I did like watching the first live action Transformers movie. So here's the thing. When you say they, will Bandai ever make a live action Gundam movie like in Japan? I don't think so. Gundam just has never translated to live action well, and I think their attempts have failed miserably. So I don't think they're going to do that. So will an American company license Gundam for live action? I don't see that happening either, because Gundam is just not an important property. And seeing the Pacific Rim took so long to get its money back and to be successful, I don't think there's a lot of excitement for folks doing a piloted giant robot series. I like to think the Transformers would get some interest in a Gundam movie, something like that. But I mean, Transformers unfortunately took the exact opposite direction that a Gundam movie would take. Transformers took it in the lots of explosions and munching on popcorn kind of a direction, which is not really what Gundam is best at. But I mean, Gundam is very good at exciting giant robot action sequences, but it always has to be combined with characters screaming philosophical debate at each other. So it's a very different kind of thing. So I fear that if an American company tried to do Gundam, they kind of try to do it like Transformers. They'd dumb it down, for lack of a better word. It would just be giant robots fighting each other. And I don't want to see that. I don't want to see a simplified Gundam. So I don't see it happening. I think the main problem is Hollywood. The money you need to make a Gundam series precludes Gundam having the kind of character development and the kind of philosophical and the kind of questions about philosophy that you get in Gundam. So I don't see it happening, unfortunately. If it were going to happen, I think it would happen from James Cameron. I can see James Cameron doing it and doing it effectively. I have seen the first 2 episodes of Noka Magica, and that was enough to say no. That is not the show for me. I was very unimpressed. I did see the news of the Pacific Rim 2. I'm very excited to see that. I hope that is successful. And the animated series, I'm curious to see where they go with that. I assume it's going to be kind of like Starship Troopers Roughnecks, which apparently was an impressive little series. But yeah, that's awesome. That's very awesome. First episode of Sailor Moon Crystal. That's out. I have not been paying that much attention. I will have to check that out. Oh, it's on Hulu. Excellent. I will go ahead and tag that. Good. I was curious to see how they're handling that. Does it seem significantly different from the original series at this point? And I know, episode 1, it's you can't judge too much for episode 1, but does it seem like it's? I mean, and I know the plot's going to be different, but I mean, other than that kind of stuff and the animation style, I'm sure there's at least a slight difference in animation style, but otherwise, how is it different? I'm curious. Yeah, see, again, I think if Michael Bay did a live-action Evangelion film, it would just, Michael Bay is not big on subtlety. and Evangelion lives and dies on subtlety. So. Oh, okay, Lachlan. Yeah, I see where you're coming from there, Lachlan, in terms of, they both have that. But yeah, no. So the problem I have with Evangelion, and I apologize if I've mentioned this before, guys, but Evangelion is both trying to deconstruct the mecha genre as well as anime in general, and fandom, actually, is one of the things I'm also trying to deconstruct, anime fandom. Trying to deconstruct those things while also being an entertaining and well-structured mecha anime series that appeals to otaku. So I think those two tensions make the series break down in that it's constantly talking about how ineffective otaku are and how dumb the monster of the week concept is, and it's showing this in the way it presents its story, and that makes the series less entertaining and less less satisfying to watch. So that's the main issue I have with that. And which, granted, I mean, I think it's one of the reasons why Lane found an audience more receptive to it than how Evangelion's audience, I mean, obviously love it, but it's also much more controversial. Evangelion has more of the love it or hate it, or love it and hate it kind of at the same time, whereas Lane's audience tends to be much more passionate because Lane isn't trying to deconstruct itself at the same time. It's experimenting with the anime. It's definitely asking the question of how far can we push anime in different technological directions and different kind of story directions. But it's not doing that in a way that is critical, if you will, of anime. Okay, so it's basically like that. Have I been to Anime North? I have not. I've been to Otakon, Anime Expo, New York Anime Festival, Anime USA, Katsucon. I think that's it. So I haven't gone too far for my anime conventions so far. And that's one of the reasons why Evangelion is so popular and why it has so many fans, is because that tension makes it interesting. That adds a lot more dimensions for that people can analyze it by, and there's that creates controversy, which is one of the advantages of it. So again, not knocking it. I'm just saying that that's one of the reasons that some people have a difficulty with Evangelion. Yeah, and that pandering to conventional mecha audience is kind of part of what it's critiquing. It's hey, here's every single thing you expect, and they highlight that so you realize how dumb it is, or how ineffective it is. So that was intentional, and it's one of the reasons why the show can be very hard to watch. Yeah, I agree exactly, Dr. Ebel. I think the movies are definitely the sort of the cleaning up of Anno's approach. I still haven't seen 3.0, by the way, but it's sitting on my hard drive right now. So at some point I will watch that. I really like the approach they took with 3.0. Again, I haven't seen it, but from what I've heard of what they do, like, yes, thank you. Yeah, and again, sort of to be fair to Evangelion, Evangelion was made at a time when the studio was in dire straits. If this wasn't a success, they were gonna fold. Anno was going through tremendous emotional strain, so it was very much a let's throw everything into a blender kind of a thing, and it was a they had a lot more pressures on them, and they were in a very different place than Chiaki Konaka was, and the other folks who and Ueda and the others making Lane, where they had a lot more freedom to kind of explore this thing, because it was just this weird experiment that they had to just kind of throw out there. It was like, yeah, we made this PlayStation game that's very weird, and now we want to make an anime series kind of sort of based on it. So we have to do the entire first episode on spec to prove that we can do it. I mean, it was definitely a different time. So, you know, they do what they can. Yeah, Happy Renmei. It's an impressive work. Yeah, exactly, Running Man. Yeah, one of the problems with Evangelion is that there's so many in-jokes, so many references to just kind of the way anime works and the way mecha works. You know, the fiery-headed female. I'm sorry, the fiery red-headed female character. Actually, the fiery female pilot, not whether hair or not, was a big trope that they were kind of making fun of. You know, the emotionless pilot was a trope that they were making fun of. So if you don't understand those tropes, it just doesn't translate as well. I think you're exactly right. I'd love to see them try. I'd be fascinated to see how it translates. And I know that, you know, Weta was definitely interested, but it's a tough one. Have I noticed any significant anime tropes or settings Hollywood's adapted into its storytelling, character development? Not too much in general. I'm certainly seeing more use of anime-style action. You can see that in Star Wars. You know, the prequel films certainly have a much more anime-style, frenetic action pace than the episodes 4, 5, and 6. And I mean, Lucas is an anime fan, so that's no big surprise. And I think because of Star Wars' success, you see that in other things. You know, The Matrix obviously has an anime sort of approach to a lot of its action sequences. So you see that somewhat. Other than that, I don't see much else in there. I think Hollywood's still struggling a lot with. Well, it's not struggling. I think Hollywood is still stuck in a lot of its own tropes. I think it isn't even trying to get out of a lot of its tropes. You know, folks talk about the Bechdel test and the role of women in film, and that's still just very stuck in the past. I think Hollywood isn't even looking to Japan, I think. Now, I'm also seeing more use of Japanese storylines. Obviously, End of Tomorrow was based on a Japanese light novel, which apparently everyone was like, this is really cool, let's do this. And you see that in other ways of people being used. And obviously, Pacific Rim is very Japanese influenced. But I don't see any big trends at the moment. See you, Sebastian. Yep, I'll be back on Saturday. I have not watched Edge of Tomorrow. I've heard conflicting things about the movie. I wouldn't mind watching it at all, but it depends on. I don't know. Some folks said it's still very light on story, and others said it isn't. So I kind of don't know who to trust. So I should just I'll eventually watch. The problem is I don't know that I'm interested in spending that much time watching a Hollywood special effects movie. Again, it depends on if it's actually interesting, if they actually have thought into it, or if they've kind of extracted all that out. Hollywood's very good at extracting thought and complexity out of stories, so I'm always a little worried about that. But who knows, you know? Okay, I don't need to keep that open. Good. So, yeah, on the hard drive right now are Knights of Sidonia, Black Bullet, Captain Earth, Pupa. See, what else did I find interesting? Selector Infected Y-Cross, Gundam Age, which I know this as well. I was really impressed with the first episode of Inari Kon Koi Iroha. So I'd like to see more of that, but I just haven't gotten around to it. And then Evangelion 3.33, and of course Momotaro, which we'll watch on Saturday. So that's the plan there. Man of Steel final fight's like a Dragon Ball Z episode. That's what I've heard. Yeah.
Cool.
I was very happy to see. I was at so I have a friend who does a guys' night out every month, although he's been in Africa for a while. But he came back for a little while. He did a guys' night out last night, and most of the guys there are late teens, early 20s, and so they tend to watch actiony, testosterone-filled movies. Nothing too dumb, but yeah. And I was impressed. They were all like, "Yeah, I'm not going to go see Transformers, the Transformers 4. It just, I didn't like the first three, so why would I go watch them?" Like, thank you. Not that you can't watch Transformers. That's bad. But I was impressed that they were like, "Yeah, that franchise went in a direction I just don't want to follow." Cool. Why should I stay away from Pupa? By the way, I watched the first 3 episodes of Pupa. Yeah, first 3 episodes. So why should I stay away? I'm curious. Also has the advantage that it's short. One of the reasons I'm like, oh. But yeah, what else have I been watching recently? I'm trying to see if I can. I've been watching some non-anime stuff quite a bit. Some British stuff, science fiction and non, actually, very recently. And then what else have I done? In bits and pieces of anime. I guess Gundam Build Fighters was the big one recently. Oh, and Unicorn. Gundam Unicorn. No, I believe it's the TV series. At least I've got 9 episodes. Don't know all that. Well, I'll be watching Del Toro's adaptation of Monster on HBO. I don't have HBO, so I won't be watching it on HBO. I definitely would like to check out Monster and see how he does that. I am curious to see his take on that. I mean, certainly, and as folks have been saying for a long time, Monster is one of the few anime that would adapt to live action perfectly. I mean, there's just almost nothing there that would not make sense in live action. So it's a good choice. So the pupa I have is from March of this year. March-ish. I have not seen any of the Gundam Seed Astray anime, no. I know they've done a few bits and pieces. I mean, they basically, so the 2 5-minute anime shorts. Yeah, no, I haven't seen those. I haven't read any of the manga for Astray, and from what I understand, those series or those shorts are more, they don't make much sense unless you read the manga. So I haven't actively sought them out. I'll put it that way. Again, wouldn't mind seeing them, but just they haven't, didn't seem like something that made sense to jump at. Still need to finish Victory Gundam. Or Gundam Victory, I suppose. I think that and something else, the only Gundam anime I haven't seen in terms of the TV shows. Victory and there was something else major I haven't finished. Oh, I guess the Gundam Seed movie. I haven't watched that yet. Someday. Yeah, as far as I know, that's the only Astray anime I know of. Interesting that Zack Snyder said the Birdie the Mighty series was the inspiration for that Man of Steel fight. Not that I've seen Man of Steel. Makes sense. I mean, Birdie the Mighty is kind of over the top action like that. So let me revise my earlier statement. I do see more anime style action in the comic book movies. I think in terms of how characters are portrayed on film and how they're framed and how that action moves in those comic book movies, it feels more anime to me than anything else. Because obviously they're going with, they're trying to capture the feel of a Marvel comic, but I think in terms of just the movement and all that stuff, there's certainly an anime feel to that you don't get from the comics. So like the big hero circle thing from the Marvel movie felt like the kind of thing you see in a Naruto opening credit sequence. Just saying. So Lachlan, I mean, yes, that is kind of the plot. I don't think it's just that though. I think it's just that is a bit of understatement. But I'm willing to try it and see where it goes. I mean, what I've seen so far of her turning into a monster and starting to consume her brother is interesting. I'll give it a try. I mean, certainly Dragon Ball. I mean, yeah, and you're certainly right that Dark Devil, that the third Matrix film, that's a very Dragon Ball Z-esque fight. Especially with them, slamming into concrete and slamming into rock and leaving little bits of, that's classic Dragon Ball Z. Again, whether that specifically was right in their minds or not, I don't know. All right, so I can close down that app because it doesn't work for this. And that's running, and that's that. So yes. I didn't mention in the video, I have set up a schedule for the Classic Club. Not like a schedule is a bit of an incorrect word. I built a list of the things that I want to show on the Classic Club. So various Ghibli films, so like Nausicaa, Princess Mononoke, and then I think I'm going to show the original Ghost in the Shell, Akira, Robot Carnival, and I think I'm going to show, because I'm going to be doing a series on it, I think I'm going to be showing all of Boogie Pop Phantom, the anime TV series from 1999, I think. So that's the plan for the Saturday buffet. And I know I was kind of vague in the video I posted. I need to start writing and recording and assembling videos, which takes a while. So I don't want to promise on a release schedule, but I'm hoping that I can have some of this stuff. I can start posting videos in a month, at least some of them. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I definitely like the seasonal format, but I'm kind of behind because of some of these, some of these projects that kind of slowed me down. So I don't want to. Normally it would take me 3 months to get all this stuff made, and I kind of don't want to wait that long to get the season started. So I'll probably figure that out. Am I showing them subbed? I think we discovered that dubbed is better because people can't read the subs streaming. The chunkiness of the subs is often a problem. So I'll make the choice one way or the other. I think I don't recall any of these that have particularly cheesy dubs. One or two of the things I have are subbed only, so obviously we'll do that. But I'll make the determination on a work-by-work basis. What do I think of pacifism in anime? Do you think this is good for anime? Again, I don't think it's good or bad. I think it just kind of is. I think it's very much a result of World War II and how thoroughly Japan was trounced in that conflict. I think it is remarkable how thorough pacifism has been ingrained into popular culture. I do suspect that is more than a little intentional. You know, I suspect it's one of those things where any show aimed at an audience, you know, under the age of 18 is probably expected to promote pacifism. You know, whether that's written in language somewhere or not, whether that's standards or practices or not, I think that is just kind of a thing that you're expected to do. So yeah, it is remarkable how ubiquitous it is. I'll put it this way: given Japan's record, I am glad that they are pacifist. Put it that way. The trailer for the upcoming Lupin, I think it was about a minute and a half. Yeah. I think it was. Will I review the Gundam movie this season? Depends on if I watch it or not. I still haven't watched it. So if I get to it, then yes. I'm a little scared of it, to be honest. And also I'm just kind of waiting for the right mood to hit me. I've been going through other kind of content lately and enjoying that. So we'll see. But yes, once I watch it, I will certainly do a review. You know, I'll put the review into the queue, whether it's this season or not. But yes, I definitely want to do that. Awakening of the Trailblazer. Thank you, Dark Realm. It's good to be back. Well, back. I mean, good to be doing videos again. And it's good to have a break too. Good to be able to do other things and concentrate on other projects. I got a lot of other projects. Ooh boy. So got to start doubling down on talking to a video and doing more cool stuff there. Can I do a lower third here? I can. Excuse me. That's a bad sign. Oh, come on. I have to. Oh, glad I'm doing it now. Starting up launching some of these apps. Oh, good. There's a comment tracker over there. I will just use that. So let's see if this works. But before I do that, let me make sure it actually exists. And it hasn't been killed. Cross your fingers. Yay! So, if you go to otakunovideo.net, you will find my new site where I have a whole bunch of pages, as you'll see as you click on the review and anime review and manga review and all those links. So that's the new site, and I'm planning to build it into a big old encyclopedia of anime analysis and manga analysis, which I think would be fun. What do I think of the live-action Lupin the Third from what I've seen thus far? It's a thing. I mean, it'll appeal to folks who it appeals to. I don't know. Why do you bring in Unit 731, out of curiosity? So here's the question. Is that... It's much slower. Yes, the new dub of Akira is a little more accurate, if you will. Although, if you really want the plot, go to the manga. I don't know when I'll be streaming until I feel like it's stopping, basically. Abe does not strike me as all that militant. I don't think that's as big of a deal. He's certainly more conservative. I would worry more about the hands behind him than him. Okay, so the comment tracker does not update at all. Cute. Why is that? Huh. Okay. Have to go back over here, I guess. It's like any person in power. Usually, it's the people behind the person in power that you have to watch out for. I'm just saying. But yeah, so OtakuNoVideo.net is the big idea, and so you can create an account if you'd like, and then go in there and start fleshing things out as you're interested. The one big thing it doesn't have is I haven't put all of my videos on there as pages. So I want to at least start putting all those on there, and then there should be quite a few entries on there. And so the idea is we can then expand those text reviews and analysis elements. So if you go on there and see something that's not complete, that doesn't address some aspect of the work that you think needs to address, you edit the page, you add that to it, and it's there. And obviously, I'll be keeping an eagle eye on the site, so somebody can't post, spoon 300 times, or I'll revert it. And you can't just go in there and say this show sucks. I'll revert that too. But as long as it's something that adds some idea to the review, as long as it's something reasonable, then cool. There you go. Hey, Mexican Otaku. Yeah, the manga is definitely a much more much more of a story than the movie is for Akira. Yeah, I think if you delve into any country's past, you'll find some very disturbing things. I do not have an IRC channel, no, much as I'd love one. But YouTube does not have any IRC integration, and unfortunately, expecting people to connect to IRC is asking a bit much these days. But I have a friend who runs an IRC channel for some friends of ours. It was all gaming related. I might talk to him about setting up a channel for me. Huh. Although I think, let's see here. Let me check out that real quick. It'd be fun to have a chat room. Let me see what my web hosting company believes about IRC. Yet no. So there's no. Yeah, they do not allow that, unfortunately. So I could not set up IRC myself unless I set up something myself, which is certainly possible. I'll look into that. I'll look into setting up an IRC server on my home network and exposing that to the internet. Would the national sentiment in Japan right now sort of reflect in anime and manga stories? I don't think so, because most anime and manga are aimed at pop culture. So I don't think they're going to really, very few anime series reflect what's actually going on in the real world in Japan, in current events. There's very little of that in the anime, so I don't think you'd see that much. Just like over here in America, you don't really see current events showing up in Warner Brothers cartoons, superhero cartoons. So is that 1/1 scale Zaku confirmed? I know they teased it in Gundam Build Fighters, but I assumed they were just kind of trolling the audience. Well, not trolling the audience, but that they were saying, "Wouldn't this be cool?" Actually, let me, let's see here. Oh yeah! Wow! No, I take that back. No, it's there. It's real. I was not aware of that. That's awesome. I may have to go back to Japan now. There's the 1/1 Gundam on the floor. Cool. Wait, am I? Oh, well, no wonder things are slow. I'm torrenting. Let me shut that down. I've got like 10 torrents going at once. No wonder things were a little chunky. Sorry about that. I'm not seeing any actual images of it. Which makes me, suspicious. Oh, no, there it is. Well, is that real or is that a rendering? I'm betting that's a rendering. Yeah, it's a rendering. I'm not actually seeing any indication of it existing in real life yet. Is that? Oh, no, there we go. There's a post back from July of last year that shows a half-completed Zakuto. Interesting. Which is weird because it would have been there when I was there. Oh no, these are not 1/1 scale. They're smaller scale. I don't know. I've not seen Crystal Kaiserman yet. Yeah, they build a Zeong and we're done for. I have read Volume 1 in of Kino no Tabi. I've not read any more of that. And much as I appreciate the offer of reading more, my to-read stack is so big. Even if you forwarded it to me, it would take me years to get to it. I mean, the reality is that truly humaniform giant robots on that scale are really impractical on the physical level. Getting the joints to move fast enough, and doing it in such a way that a single hit doesn't make it completely immobile is extremely problematic. At this point, a tank is just way more effective and can take a lot more punishment and can deal out as much damage. It just doesn't make sense until the technology gets a lot better. And even then, it's kind of questionable as to why you would want something that, again, a single hit takes out the legs, you're done. So, and again, to be fair, The whole idea in original Gundam is that these were space vehicles. So you're talking very long-range combat where a single hit's going to take you out anyway. It doesn't matter that you have these appendages. In fact, that's kind of better because, okay, they take out an arm, we can still kind of move around and do stuff. But giant robots just don't make as much sense in gravity, unfortunately. Hey, Kaiser, yeah, and that's what I meant. I have not seen Sailor Moon Crystal yet. I very much see powered armor. I mean, I think powered armor is going to come pretty soon, for all sorts of reasons. We're going to see augmented robotic suits, but they're going to be 9 feet tall, not 30. Yeah. Yeah, I don't see them as a practical thing, which is not a bad thing. I mean, we don't really need more weapons of war, as Mecha keeps trying to remind us. Actually, one of the basic ideas of Gundam is war sucks. Let's have fewer of these, please. But yeah, and I can see things like the mecha from Eureka 7, that are more streamlined. They're really less military vehicles than they are sort of stunt acrobatic vehicles. That I can see. In fact, I can see giant robots for entertainment. I can totally see a monster truck rally style giant robot, and things like that have been built, so that makes more sense to me. But who knows? And of course, the giant robot is there for a specific reason, not so much because it's it's not meant to be practical. To a great extent, it's meant to be a toy, really. Yeah, it's what I mean. I love to see people work on mecha for peaceful purposes. As a thing to fly around and play with, less as a weapon. I think that'd be cool. Something you see the Macross universe start to evolve into, of various transforming fighters being used for those things. I have not yet seen a pro-war message in a mecha series. I have seen pro-military messages, and I've seen pro-defense messages, but I've not seen pro-war messages. Gekiganger 3, yes. Curse you, Gekiganger 3! Is going to build fighters possible in the future? Oh, that definitely. I totally see a kind of holographic toy, kind of a combat being doable. Heck, I wouldn't be surprised to see 3D printing be used for that. Speaking of which, yes, the 3D printer has been running. Just want to show you what I've been doing. I've been having fun with a 3D printer, and here's what I've been having fun doing. So that is entirely 3D printed. Everything you see there, I printed myself. Oops. You got little monsters. You got a little crypt over there. And you got some good guys down there. And some bad guys over here. corridor. So yeah, I've been having a lot of fun printing out all sorts of stuff. Everything you see there, printed out myself. So yeah, been playing around a lot with the 3D printer and how to use it for hobbies and games and such. All right. Microphone fell. There we go. See you, Running Man. Thanks for stopping by. I'll find a way of turning that off. Yeah, well, in Gundam Build Fighters is based on Angelic Layer, which is basically Plaured's Sanshiro, anime series from the 80s. So yeah, no, absolutely. You know, little plastic models that we control and combat, that'd be awesome. Lachlan, I'm gonna go with none. There's not really much Gundam that fits that bill. I'd go with Gundam 00. Yeah, Gundam 00, I think is closest to what you're looking for. Yeah, I would definitely take a decade. Yeah, I mean, Gundam generally doesn't go in that direction. Although actually, I mean, you could also make a case for 0080 War in the Pocket. Because that is a more serious, thoughtful series. But it is more based on what Gundam is, so it's not really a good introduction, I think. So yeah, I'd start with 00 and go from there. It may not hit your tastes, but it's worth a try. And that's a good question, though. Think about that a bit. And to hear somebody who just posted on a video saying that, Vincent said that Gundam Unicorn was his first Gundam series, and he really, really enjoyed it. So who knows? Unicorn might not be a bad choice, actually, but it's very dependent on I mean, it's not dependent on, but there's a lot of references to older Gundam series in it, which is not required, but I mean, I'll put it this way. I think probably your best bet would be to start with 00, maybe 8th MS Team, and just try first episodes of a few of them. There are enough of them out there streaming. You can just try a few of them until you find one that just sort of fits for you. Yeah, there's only other mecha kind of in that category. Razafon leaps to mind. This is my first hearing of Torkaiser. I am not seeing any information about Torkaiser. Is this a thing? Is it a real thing? That's a good point, Darkrom. One of my someday maybe projects is to design and build a giant robot, actually. But I need to find that team first. the mechanical engineers. Joints are hard. It seems I can only put it in plastic. That would be an interesting thing to try to design and build a giant robot out of plastic. So I'm not seeing anything on ANN. So I'm looking for that. I'm not seeing it listed anywhere. Seeing a thing on Anime News Briefs. Oh, Tor Kaiser with a Z. Okay, that's why I wasn't finding it. I've bookmarked it, so I'll check it out. So that's a good point, Dark Realm. Lachlan, I would think a good place to start would be original Mobile Suit Gundam. As long as you understand it's 1979, so the animation quality is still very rudimentary, but that's certainly got the depth and the complexity you're looking for. Razafon, oh, download it. Yeah, let's be honest. Once it becomes available, buy a copy. But I'm having this problem actually with some of the anime I want to watch is that there's just, like you say, it's hard to find. Let's see here. Out of curiosity, if I search... Holy guacamole! Razafon is streaming on Amazon Instant Video. You can actually watch Razafon on Amazon. So there we go. The complete collection is also $40 DVD on Amazon. So what do you mean not readily available? Yeah, no, a lot of the animation from the past is definitely, impressive. You just got to be used to the differences in style and the fact that it just isn't as slick as it is now. I've not seen Arise yet. I've been kind of waiting for it to finish, but I might just end up downloading a few episodes and watching it. Just, grabbing it. And then, like I said, I'll buy a copy. But yeah, I'm seeing Razafon Complete Collection, which I think is an older release for $30 on DVD on Amazon right now. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, the Tetsugen art style is very nice, and obviously a lot of Osamu Tezuka's stuff is just lovely. I'm looking up this Alter Ego Productions on Facebook. It's interesting. I'm I am skeptical, I must admit. See you, Dark Devil. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, start with the original. That's not a bad idea. Yeah, one of the problems with ordering anime in general is that it's often very stocking anime is tough because you never know who's going to want something, and so folks generally stock very few copies of any individual thing. Again, because folks don't buy anime, so you do get that back ordering thing a lot, unfortunately. My Gundam Unicorn took weeks to arrive. Episode 7, just forever. Very frustrating. In fact, I ended up downloading it. Then it showed up like the next day. So I did watch it on Blu-ray. But that was it took a long time. A lot of folks wanted that, which is good. But yeah, stocking things is a complicated thing. But yeah, I've not seen Arise yet. I would. Oh, what did I just do? What did I just do? I closed all those windows. That was dumb. Sorry, guys. 1 second. There we go. Close the comments page. I'm not going to do that. I need to do those 2 things. Cool. Gotta put out the trash for tonight. So I gotta remind myself once we're done here. Where can you get a legit copy of Horomusko? Horomusko is never licensed, so there's no such thing as a legit copy, other than buying it like off CD Japan. You know, if you want to get a copy, you can, but it's not going to be subtitled. I don't think. I'm pretty sure. No, I'm sorry, Horomusko. Sorry, I was thinking of Denno Coil. Duh. Horomusko. I'm not sure that was licensed beyond Crunchyroll, was it? Yeah, I don't think there was ever a physical release of Wandering Sun. Now, I do see a box on Amazon, but yeah, it looks like that's a, yeah, it's an import. It was basically pirated. So yeah, I don't think there is a legitimate physical copy of Wandering Sun, unfortunately. Oh, nice, Mads and Kaiser in your store. That's awesome. The arcade cabinet still exists. It's at work. I actually brought it into work, where I set it up in a corner of the kitchen, and folks are using that frequently, which is nice. In fact, they inspired me to look into getting into upgrading the front of it. So I'm going to have like an actual backlit front. So you're having an actual light there, and I'll probably do some side art as well. I want to save up a little bit of money before I do that, because it's not expensive, but it's expensive. You know, it's like $50 or something for all the. Actually, I think it's a little more than that. It's like $70 for the sign plus the plexiglass on both sides. So gotta wait a bit, and then the side art will be like I think 120 or so for both pieces of side art. 'Cause it's like, you know, 5 feet tall by 1.5 feet wide. So they're these giant decals, basically. But yeah, I want to do that. Yeah, I'm totally okay with remakes and remasters. No issues there. Like, it's often nice to see how things are handled when they're redone and remade. And of course, most anime basically is a remake of the original work. So yes, totally cool with that. Yeah, and in fairness about Wandering Sun, I think that's one of those things that's not going to get enough attention to warrant a DVD release. You know, they're just not going to make their. It is not going to be. They would lose money on doing a physical release. See, the thing to me about the Gekiganger scenes is the funny thing about them is that they were low budgeted because that's what the shows were like. And the Gekiganger scenes were supposed to look like a cheesy 70s robot show where they didn't have a budget. So, you know, I'd love to see I'll put it this way. I would love to see high budget Gekiganger scenes. I think that'd be awesome. I'd love to see Nesco get more attention, actually. I mean, Nesco is a pretty important show. Pretty memorable, remarkable show. I guess important isn't the correct word. But folks really liked that show. It was a big deal at the time. And it is this parody of Mecha and a parody of Evangelion. The main character is very clearly a riff on Shinji. And I think that's cool to see. It's an interesting take. Fact. I've talked about doing a series of kind of if you like this, then try watching that videos, and doing one on Evangelion. Yeah, and I'd probably mention Nesco as part of that. So I know the budget on Ping Pong was very limited. They did not have a lot of money for Ping Pong, which is one of the reasons why it looks the way it does. So it becomes very distinctive, very much someone's specific style. The fact that was storyboarded very much by one guy, all the way through, makes it a distinctive, excuse me, a very different show. But yeah, I think it was quite low. Ping Pong animation. Anyone released that? That's an interesting question. A lot of folks don't. A lot of companies just don't release that information. Yeah, nothing there. No, it says it has a low budget. But there are no numbers yet, and that's cool. I mean, getting back to the earlier question, I don't think there's necessarily a problem with changing the art direction of a show. I think sometimes that's a valid choice. It's an effective choice. But I also think it's interesting when they try to maintain the original style. Horomusko is a good example, where they very much tried to copy the original manga style. Same thing with Mushishi. Oh, really? Funimation has ping pong? Ah, wow. That's interesting. When I type in Funimation into my toolbar, I get Funimation and then Funimation ping pong. And maybe that's because I've Googled ping pong recently. Wow, that's interesting, though. Yeah, there it is. Cool. I do wish more shows would reveal their budget. That would be a very interesting and helpful number to have. Yeah, no, it's Masaki Yuasa. That's a pretty big name. So we'll see. I got another toy since last we met. I think. Don't know if I've shown you this or not. Let's find out. While I'm showing off, Since you guys are the more hardcore fans, I don't feel too embarrassed about showing off to you guys. batteries alive on this thing. Yeah. See if this works at all. Oh, not too well. Not used to the controls here. Oh. Yeah. So that's fun to play around with. It has a little camera on it. Yeah, and I've heard very good things about ping pong, so I'm totally up for that. And I'm becoming a Masaki Yuasa fanboy. I just really like the fact that he does weird things. So I'm all up for weird things. I remember. The joke. Yeah, no, my flying skills definitely need work. It is a tough skill. It takes a lot of time to learn that. But, oops, forgot. Man, what was that the one we were talking about? Torkaiser. Just want to make sure I have a note on that. So yeah, that's just fun to play around with. It's very cheap, by the way. That was like a $57 toy, basically. That's all it is. But again, you can take photo, we can take videos very briefly, and a battery lasts like 7-8 minutes. So I have a few of those. Yeah, I've flown it at dusk a few times, and it looks pretty cool. Yeah, I've gotten a few double takes from folks walking around, which is fun. Yeah, the lights do look cool, I gotta admit. I should keep an eye on the local paper, make sure nobody's freaking out. And of course, the whole drone controversy rages on about whether they, should be allowed or not allowed, and the FAA overstepping its bounds and all that fun stuff. So I certainly don't fly it everywhere, but it's fun to play around with here and there. All right. Unfortunately, guys, I have got to get going if I need to finish up the rest of these chores tonight. So again, I'll be doing a Saturday buffet this Saturday, starting at 4 p.m. If any of that has to change for any reason, I'll post a thing on YouTube, but that's pretty well set. It's on my calendar. And like I said, we'll do Momotaros, we'll do some cooking, and we should have a good time. So I'll think of some other stuff to do over the course of the week. So that is the plan. So thanks y'all for stopping by, and we will talk in more detail then. Yeah, I'll try to watch some more anime in the meantime. So again, thanks for stopping by, guys, and I will see you in a bit. I'll stick around in the comments section for a bit. If you guys have any final questions, and as I walk around here collecting trash, I'll keep refreshing the comments and stay around for a bit. But yeah, again, thanks for stopping by. See you on Saturday.